Toasties. I'm Missy, here with my bestie Johnsy.
Hey, y'all.
And we first want to apologize for our delay in our last episode.
Yeah.
We had some bad shenanigans.
Unfortunately.
We had a lot of technical difficulties. But we're back on track today. And welcome back to our Toasted Shenanigans. What are you drinking over there?
I've actually got #adulting. It's a guava IPA by Evil Genius. And it's not terrible. I'd give it probably about 8.5.
There was nothing guava about that shit.
No, but it's still tasty.
No, it wasn't.
You don't like beer.
Hey, it's an IPA.
It is an IPA.
And that was a recommendation.
It was. I'm usually not a big fan of IPAs, but I'm finding that I'm drinking them more and more and more and liking them a whole lot more.
It tasted like shit.
Whatever. What do you got?
I have the mead again. This one's called, it has a long ass name, but it's called Waffle House is Right Down the Road. They have great OJ. And it tastes like a mimosa.
Ooh. Let me try. Is it really sweet?
It tastes like a mimosa.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's kind of like Tang.
Yeah. It tastes literally like a mimosa.
I like it.
Yeah.
But you can tell that they actually use like real oranges because it's still got that citrusy bite to it.
You know what's really funny?
What?
No oranges. It's mango.
Uh-uh. Is that what's giving it? Oh, it's the lime.
Yeah, it's mango and I can't read this handwriting. Calamansi lime.
Oh, it must be some kind of lime. That must be that citrusy bite I'm getting.
Probably. We highly recommend, guys, if you aren't already, to find us on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, because we did have some updates about our technical difficulties, and if you want to stay updated on
the shenanigans,
the shenanigans, you should find us there and go like us and follow us
and share and all the fun stuff
and hit the little bell.
Yeah, your bell.
The bell is on Spotify and it lets you know when an episode is uploaded. Mm-hmm. Hope you guys got your water ready. That was a lot of uhs and ums.
We'll get better. Or we won't. We'll just keep you hydrated.
Maybe that's what we want to do.
Maybe.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, this was recommended to us by Tina. It is Jerry Brudos.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I do want to start off to let everybody know that there is a big difference between a fetish and a kink. But this episode's going to be a little graphic.
Yes, and whatever walk of life you decide to take, this is a judgment-free zone.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
And you walk your path how you want to.
Yep. So, according to sex therapist Rosa Torrisi, a kink is usually something that is sexual, something someone likes to do with themselves or consensually with partners. And this is usually like something like mainstream sexual activities like BDSM or role-playing.
Mm-hmm.
A fetish is similar to a kink, but the difference is that a fetish must be present in order for them to achieve arousal.
Oh.
So, like, somebody that has, like, a fetish with feet or having sex in public, they have to do it in public, or they have to have the feet
involved
in order to be aroused.
Do you know the reason why people have the feet fetish thing is because the wires in your brain, mm-hmm. the genitals and the feet are next to each other and they cross.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Sometimes they get crossed, and that is why people see that.
Where the fuck did you find that out from?
How many random facts do I know?
I know. You're always surprising me with something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Like a little Wikipedia over here. But either way, kink and fetish, like we just said, it's not unhealthy to have them. It's normal. Everybody has their own thing. You do you, boo boo. It's all acceptable.
Absolutely.
What's not acceptable is when it becomes violent.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in this story, we're going to see that it becomes very, very violent.
Yes.
But let's talk about Mr. Jerry. His name was actually Jerome Henry Brudos. He's also known as the Lust Killer and Shoe Fetish Slayer.
Cute.
He's born January 31st, 1939, and was an Aquarius. I think that's our first one.
I believe you are accurate.
Yep. Born in Webster, South Dakota. So, we're going a little north this time, usually.
I think that's still Midwest.
Technically, I guess. I'm not sure.
I'm really failing on my geography at the moment. I know it's next to Minnesota.
Well, if any of y'all are listening in South Dakota, please correct us if we're wrong. But 1939, this was like right after the Depression and whatnot, so jobs were still kind of scarce, and so Jerry's father moved the family to Oregon in kind of like hopes to find something new to help take care of his family. And his dad was like working 2 to 3 jobs at a time, just trying to keep ends meet and take care of his family, while the mother would be left with the 2 sons.
Yeah.
Jerry had an older brother, and his mother completely doted on him and praised him. Like, it was just her perfect son.
The older one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
While Jerry, on the other hand, was neglected and pretty much loathed for not being a girl.
Oh.
Yeah. Basically, she already had the most perfect son. Why would she need another one? She wanted a little girl.
Yeah. You know what's really sad is that happens more often.
It does.
Still.
It does. But she definitely couldn't hide her emotions. Instead of, trying to cope with it, get over it, like make the best of life, she let them out on Jerry instead.
Oh, heaven forbid she just happened to have a healthy child.
Yeah. And because of this, he was frequently mentally and physically abused for it.
Oh.
Which completely has to, even at a young age, like, you don't understand, like, what are you doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no excuse for it. He couldn't understand. But she didn't even hide it with, like, friends or neighbors. She would, frequently describe how disgusted that she was that Jerry wasn't a girl. And I'm using disgusted as not an exaggeration, but as literally, she was disgusted. I don't get it. It's frustrating. It's still not an excuse for what this man does, but it's still wrong on her behalf.
Absolutely.
So since she resented her own son's existence and not very bashful about it, Jerry, as a young boy, he couldn't understand what he had done to be treated with such malice. And as he grew older, he actually despised her. And he admitted to the fact that he just really wanted to love his mother and, try to have that mother-son relationship. But at the end of the day, she was a hateful bitch, and she was always in the way.
Fair enough.
He actually went on to be very socially awkward.
Well, yeah, he's criticized and treated like garbage in front of people.
Mm-hmm. So that would make sense. And, of course, he had a full-on hatred for women. When, of course, if the first woman in your life hates you...
Because you're not a girl.
Of course. I can see where he's coming from. I can't see why he does what he does. But...
Yeah.
But let's get into the story of Jerry. So at the age 5, he developed a fascination with women's shoes, mainly high heels. And he was one day at like a dump or something, digging through like trash, looking for treasures, and he stumbled on a pair of patent leather heels. And of course he's excited. He runs home and quickly trades out his sneakers for the heels, and not thinking like it's a big deal or anything, he's walking around the house in them. Mom sees them and she absolutely flips the fuck out.
Of course.
Which is, it's not wrong. I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
It's okay for little boys to, see what they like and whatnot. What her reaction, what I gathered from it, I couldn't find complete facts, but was basically that she beat the shit out of him for it.
Probably, because it just seems to be the thing she does.
Mm-hmm.
But what kid doesn't play dress up with their mommy shoes? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I had two younger siblings basically growing up, and one was a girl and one was a boy. And the youngest one, he was a boy, he always was try to like play dress up with us or play with the dolls and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's not an issue.
No.
So stop making it an issue. Now, Jerry, seeing shoes as just shoes, he just can't understand why his mother is yelling at him and banning something that's just a clothing piece.
Also, probably the one and only thing that brought him joy.
Yeah, he was excited about it.
Right. He had no joy in his life. He found one thing that brought him joy, and she shut it down.
But that's what happens when you're younger, though. When a parent takes something away, a child's going to want it more.
Yes.
So now it's desirable.
Yeah, it's like telling somebody don't think of the color red.
Exactly. So he doesn't throw them away and discard them like his mother asks him to. He hides them and wears them around the house in secret.
Of course.
And of course, one day he wasn't careful enough, and his mother hears like this clickety clack wearing the heels around the house, and she's like, what the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
So of course she finds Jerry wearing them again. And of course she flies into another rage and snatches the heels from Jerry's feet, drags him outside, and forces him to watch as she burns the shoes.
Aww.
And she's not just watching her burn shoes. He's watching her burn a beloved treasure.
Yeah.
It was his finding.
And his joy.
Yeah. And she just set him in flames. So, of course, now he's thinking, I need to replace them, but how do I replace them?
Yeah, because he's a child who doesn't work.
Yeah, and it was treasure. He got lucky. He's just stumbled upon it.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, Jerry starts to try stealing heels from neighbors and teachers.
Sticky fingers.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And this grows worse as time goes on, and this fascination grew with Jerry into puberty and became a fetish instead of just a fascination. And then, of course, this fetish becomes foreplay that starts to entice his violent sexual fantasies.
Oh, no.
Now, becoming a teenager, Jerry and his family moved next door to a family with multiple daughters. Yeah. And Jerry would basically sneak into the girls' room and start playing with their clothing. Probably still curious and wondering, because he had shoes. And
what else could give me that same joy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this kind of basically expanded his fetish into bras and women's underwear and lingerie as well.
Gotcha.
And he became completely obsessed with his fetish. Like, that's what he thought about day and night. And of course, now Jerry's going around and started stealing these intimates off of clothing lines. And he has by now like a little collection. And of course, the neighborhood's starting to notice too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're all hidden carefully away from Mom, but Jerry would wait till his family fell asleep to model his new attire for himself, and would walk around in the house with the heels and the undergarments and whatnot. Kind of almost like a Buffalo Bill situation.
Yeah, it's exactly the image that popped in my head was the Buffalo Bill situation. I mean,
it all leads back to mommy issues.
Yeah, but he was probably so obsessed with it because, again, it comes back to it's the only thing that gives him joy. Kind of like some people turn to food for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the vibe I'm getting. I get from this.
Yeah, he made this bond and memory in his head when he was younger with these women's items, and now that's the only way that he can seek out arousal now.
And joy, but even just joy.
Well, joy as a child growing up, but now he's a teenager.
Yeah.
He's in, prime time puberty, and that's probably all he's thinking about right now.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
So, of course, his imagination is running wild because of puberty.
Of course.
And this starts entangling with his fantasies, and he starts to create stories of women being trapped in a hole or a tunnel where they couldn't escape.
Buffalo Bill.
Yeah. And he would fantasize about how they would be kept to please him.
Buffalo Bill. Are you sure that they didn't get that from this story from Buffalo Bill instead of Ed Gein?
I think he was based, Buffalo Bill was based on many of them.
He really was a combination of a lot. That is true. But this is like Buffalo Bill almost to a T,
Yeah, but Buffalo Bill also had the skin suit and everything. That's where Ed Gein gets involved too. So it's a mixture of all of them.
That's true.
But unfortunately, Jerry's fantasies bring life to his desires, and what was just an imagination is now a reality.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. At the age of 16, Jerry cons an 18-year-old girl who had been stealing panties from that he was helping police find whoever is stealing the garments. Because like I said before, the neighborhood was catching on. Where the fuck are all my panties going? It's kind of disturbing. But especially at this time, it's, they're definitely like, what sicko is taking my panties?
Right.
Probably freaking out bigger than what it actually is, but, well, it was a lot bigger of a deal.
Yeah.
But they didn't know that yet.
Yeah. So how old was he?
He's 16 at this time, and he's conning this 18-year-old girl.
Gotcha.
So he basically convinces her to come back to his place later that night to discuss the details of all, like, the stuff that he's learned and he knows working with the cops. Kind of to just, like,
he sounds like
get her back.
Sounds like a Billy badass.
Yeah.
And she's going to follow him.
Remember, he was socially awkward, too.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard for him just to talk. So for him to make up, like,
a story.
Yeah. Didn't seem very, very surprising at all.
Right.
Now, of course, the girl does go to his place later that night, and she is just kind of signaled to come on upstairs by Jerry. And Jerry's family is gone at this point. But she follows the sound of his voice up to Jerry's bedroom. And as she's coming to his bedroom, a large masked man jumps out at her with a knife.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And he's demanding that she strip naked. Now, Jerry was not a small individual. He was larger, especially for a teenager. So it didn't fool her as to who it was, because how many people are actually, that big?
Right.
And she knew exactly who was holding her life for ransom. However, she was terrified, so she played along and then did exactly what Jerry asked for. He, at this point, began snapping pictures of her naked until he ran out of film. And all of a sudden, he just completely just leaves the room. Doesn't say anything. Not a, oh shit, I ran out of film, let me go get more. Nothing. He just simply walks out.
Thinking she's not going to get up and walk away.
Yeah, he leaves her alone in the room. So, of course, she quickly dresses and runs immediately for the stairs, where she is greeted by disheveled Jerry. And he's playing it off that he was trapped in a barn out back by some random guy, and he thinks he may have ran into the house. Has she seen him?
Oh, it wasn't him.
Yeah. So she says that she doesn't know what he's talking about. She has no clue, and just leaves it at that and runs immediately out of the house. She doesn't try to confront him or say anything about it. She just dipsets. Which is probably smart, thinking about it.
Yes.
Now, after several months, she finally reports the incident to authorities. She didn't go at first. I can understand why.
Yeah.
Terrified. Nobody will believe me. Yeah. Or second guessing herself. Maybe there was a guy. I'm sure there was all kinds of things running through her head.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. She probably had to really rationalize what she had just experienced.
Mm-hmm. But Jerry since it's been several months, thinks his charade has worked.
Oh,
And with more, like, it's sadistic fantasies coming to life now, he wants more.
well, he thinks he got away with this.
Mm-hmm.
What else? You know,
Yeah.
the whole you get an inch, you want a mile
Yep, exactly.
type scenario.
So Jerry's now 17. He lures a girl needing a ride into his car. And of course, she's relieved that she doesn't have to walk, and she gets into the car. This is, like what we're probably like late 50s or something, or early 50s or something.
Probably
so
like
it's not that
mid-50s.
it's not that big of a deal.
No,
Not
everyone's
then.
getting into
Yeah.
strangers' cars. We still do that today.
And we pay him for it.
Yeah.
However, any relief that she had for not, like, she didn't have to walk anymore, it suddenly vanishes because she gets in the car and Jerry's automatically just like, oh, I'm just so happy to meet for our date. And like talking to her as if they've known each other for years. Yeah.
She's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like basically so confused and like growing like extremely worried at this point because he's starting to speed in the opposite direction out of town.
Oh, shit.
So at that point, I would have fucking jumped out of the car. I don't give a shit whether I make it or not. I'm not staying another minute with him.
Tuck and roll, tuck and roll.
But Jerry pulls into the driveway of an abandoned house and drags her out of the car and beats her and rips off her clothes.
Oh, that was quick.
It's ballsy.
Didn't even
it's
get
not
dinner.
It's not nighttime. Yeah. But it's not nighttime.
Oh, it's during the day?
Yeah. So
I don't know
anybody
why I
could
was
see you.
envisioning this as the nighttime.
When I was reading like the story and researching and whatnot, I thought so too. But a couple driving by actually sees them and hears the commotion. And they actually immediately stop and pull over to go help the girl and figure out what the heck's going on.
Oh, thank goodness.
And of course, when they go up, Jerry at this point is frantic and he doesn't know what to say or do. He's already socially awkward and he doesn't have a whole lot of like experience with the outside world. So he doesn't really know how to talk to people either. So he frantically tells them this bullshit story about how the girl fell out of the car and he was trying to help her.
With her clothes off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course,
right.
yeah, the couple know damn well that that wasn't what happened. And they basically confront Jerry. And he twists the story to say he was driving by when he saw the girl being attacked by another man who just by chance had fled the scene.
Okay, so the story's already changed in a
Yes.
matter of like seconds.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. You're really working the story, bro.
And of course, the couple is still not convinced, and they take both Jerry and the girl back to their home so they can call the authorities. Because remember, there's no cell phones at this point.
Yeah.
That's the only way. And it was an abandoned house. So it's like, let's go knock on the door and see. And Jerry at this point admits to the police that he had attacked the girl and hopes to strip her and take pictures of her naked. I was actually surprised that he came out and told the truth.
Good job on being honest, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But this is not one of those, like... See, I teach my kids, like, honesty gets you out of trouble. This isn't it.
No, he's definitely arrested. And this investigation actually, brings on a bigger investigation of Jerry, and the police discover the pictures of his first victim.
Ah. Now, she has already told the story of this one to the authorities, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're like, she wasn't lying.
Yep. So Jerry claims that he didn't take the pictures. Another man did, who had forced him to have the pictures developed.
Oh, now this man... First the man shoved him in a barn, and then he's like, yo, get these developed for me.
I mean, I'm not encouraging lying at all, but if you're going to lie, could you at least, like, try a little harder? Like, that's ridiculous.
Aww.
But while incarcerated, Jerry undergoes a psychiatric examination. And the psychiatrist finds Jerry's issues to be deeply rooted, and he's admitted to Oregon State Hospital Psychiatric Ward instead of staying at the prison.
Okay. Probably the best place for him.
Definitely. Now, Jerry comes across as a normal teenager, not like any kind of like weird mental illnesses or anything like that. And Jerry is diagnosed with an adjustment reaction from adolescence with sexual deviations and fetishisms.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He's with what?
Yeah. Diagnosed with an adjustment reaction from adolescence with sexual deviations and fetishisms. Doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
But it's the 50s, so.
Their biggest thing they were worrying about is checking women for syphilis.
Well, Jerry was released after that. Basically, yeah, he'll grow out of it kind of thing. It's an adjustment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And he went on to graduate high school in 1957.
Good job.
Now, shortly after that, he did have like some odd jobs. I think one of them he was like really good as an electrician and whatnot, but he was trying to figure out what to do with his life, and he enrolls in the army in 1959.
Okay.
But he's later on discharged from the military after admitting his dark sexual fantasies to a psychologist on base.
I have to give it to him on his honesty. I really do.
I just don't like. I don't understand. Like, he's like freaking out. He panics, and he lies and
Like a,
tells these crazy stories.
he tells stories that my I mean, let me backtrack before I finish it. His stories sound crazy, like an 8-year-old would give a story. Like, I didn't take that cookie. It was the dog. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I guess it has to go back to his mom though too,
Well,
and the way he
yeah.
was raised and the social interactions he probably didn't get growing up.
No. But his honesty is also that 8-year-old.
Yes.
That's what he reminds me of, is this child who makes up really insane off the wall stories. And
Maybe that's
then
why they released him and didn't see him as a threat because of that adolescent adjustment. I guess they were hoping. I don't know.
they should have just said dude's going through puberty, he's a little whack.
He's more than a little
Well,
whacked.
clearly.
Now, of course, he's discharged and forced to go back home because he has nowhere to go.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Mommy Dearest is waiting, I'm sure.
She actually forces him to live in a shed out back. She's like, "Fuck no, you can't live in my house. But if you want, you can stay in the shed."
You deviant.
Probably exactly what she said.
Yeah.
Jerry, now a part of civilization again, went back to his old ways.
Of course.
So he had this like short little spurt where like he was trying, and he admits what's going on in his head and what fantasies he's having, and he's immediately disregarded and discharged for it.
Again, disregarded. Just
So like he's gonna go back to what he was doing.
well, he also basically, because he was disregarded, was basically like, it's okay. Everybody has these crazy thoughts. Like, you're normal. It's probably the only thing he was told he was normal about.
It could have.
In less words. I mean, by not saying like, this is a problem, let's work this out. Like, why do you think this way? Why do you feel this way? They're just like, you just can't be part of the army because you think this way, but go be amongst the humans out there.
Yeah, with no help whatsoever.
Yeah.
But you're good. You'll
You're
make
good.
it.
You're good. You're just adjusting to being an adolescent.
Yeah. It's a stage. You'll get over it.
It's not a stage, Mom.
Yeah. Well, Jerry starts stashing women's undergarments and high heels in his new home that once again he had stolen. Evidently, people haven't learned by this time. Lock your motherfucking doors.
And your underwear.
Yeah, don't put the panties on the clothing line.
He's on a serious panty raid, you guys.
This is when he went on to attack multiple women, leaving them shoeless and fulfilling his craving for control. So not only was he going into these houses and stealing them, he started attacking people on the streets to get them.
Ballsy.
He was a ballsy individual.
I was going to say, kids got gonads.
However, he couldn't keep it up forever because he was going to get caught, and he knew it. So he was smarter than that. And he basically, again, tries to live somewhat of a normal life. and he goes on a date set up by friends who,
Oh, he has friends.
I think it was through work. I
Yeah.
couldn't confirm that, so I didn't put it in here, but it sounded like it was somebody he worked with, maybe not necessarily a friend, and it's an acquaintance. They were probably like, you know what, Jerry's an odd guy. He needs a partner, somebody to keep him company. But
Yeah.
he went on this date, and it was 17-year-old little Miss Darcy.
No, that's a cute name.
Darcy Metzler. She was known to be, she was a good girl, and she was just eager to please everyone, but she was also easy to control.
Yeah, because she was a good girl and wanted to please everyone.
Yes. And then I debated not to put this in the podcast, but I'm going to do it because I'm proud of it. Because I've got a good man. I went to go take a potty break while typing up my notes, and Sean took over my laptop. And he just wanted to let me know that Sean loves me very much and will be with me forever and always.
Aww.
I know, my one sappy moment. But anyways, back to the story, guys. Just had to share. Darcy's parents didn't approve of their relationship.
Of course not.
And the only way Jerry and Darcy could see to move on with the relationship and get her parents' approval was to get pregnant.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So that's what they did.
Darcy got pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck.
And in 1962, she became pregnant, and they had a shotgun wedding like 3 months after.
Of course. You got to do it before the baby shows.
Mm-hmm. Especially in that time.
Yeah, you got to do it before the baby shows, and then the math it adds up.
Yeah, it's close.
It adds up.
During their marriage, Jerry would actually make Darcy do the household chores in the nude while wearing heels.
She's pregnant. I thought you were supposed to be barefoot.
Not in Jerry's eyes.
No, clearly not.
Because he needed them to find arousal. Without them, he wasn't going to,
Yeah.
get them off. This carried over to the bedroom, of course. And of course, Jerry would make Darcy wear the heels and pull stockings over her head and even make her ride their daughter's tricycle in the nude while he took pictures.
I don't know what's more weird, that image or the fact that she was so willing to do it.
I don't know what's more weird, because when I was studying this case and I read that, I was immediately saw the little saw man that rides the tricycle
Yeah.
nude and just riding around. I don't know why that popped in my head. Maybe I'm a little damaged, guys, myself.
Oh, fuck.
Promise I'm not doing any of this weird shit, though. But anyways, Darcy, of course, she was compliant with everything and also very confused. She didn't quite understand it.
It was probably because she's like, my parents never did this, but...
And it was only her only sexual relationship.
Right.
So Jerry was encouraged her that this is what partners did behind closed doors, and it was completely normal. Like, this was a thing. Everybody had their fetishes.
I mean...
They do, but not to this extent.
Yeah.
I've never had a guy be like, hey, why don't you go jump on that tricycle?
I would die.
I'd be like, okay, I'm leaving. Good night.
Yeah, I would.
But Jerry grew bored with her.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And he kind of lost all desires to be with her and went back to prowling the streets to fulfill his dark fantasies.
What about the baby?
Get into it.
Okay, I'm jumping ahead. Sorry.
So, 1967 now, okay?
Okay.
Darcy and Jerry had their second child, a son, and Jerry was very distant with both children.
Wait, where'd the first one go?
She's still there.
Did I miss? Oh, I
No,
missed
she's
that
still
part.
there.
The
tricycle was hers.
That's right. I got so sidetracked with the tricycle image in my head that I completely was like, wait, where'd the first one go?
Now, I'll be honest with you. I decided to leave out a lot of my notes about him and his little family that he had, because there was a lot of accusations that Darcy knew all along and yada yada this and that, and I just didn't think it was fair to tie her to that. Me personally, I don't think that she knew after learning what I know, and I know that once that Jerry was convicted, she cut off all contact. He was not allowed to see his children, know his children. She changed her name, she changed children's names, and she just completely up and left.
Okay.
So
So they have baby.
I didn't want to, like,
Yeah.
out of respect for her,
Yeah.
I didn't want
And
to
the
put in a
children.
lot of, details about that. But he was distant with both to begin with, mostly due to constantly seeking jobs because he was getting fired a lot.
Gee, I wonder why.
Mm-hmm. By this time, he had moved the family around more than 20 times because of looking for jobs.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. And this is kind of when Jerry settles his career as electrician. He kind of did a lot of like radio show talk.
Mm-hmm.
But as electrician, I want to note that he made a big accident, which I think could have triggered his next following steps. So he accidentally connected a live wire to a terminal that sent 480 volts up into his arm, leading into his chest.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you'll know, but that many volts should have killed him.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how that didn't.
But unfortunately, he did live. Had he died?
We wouldn't have the story today.
No. Had he died, Linda Slauson, Jan Whitney, Karen Springer, and Linda Saley would have went on to live hopefully very long, happy lives. And unfortunately, they did not. And we're about to get into them, so I'm going to remind you guys this is graphic. If you can't handle it, tune into our next episode, okay?
Maybe. No, come back.
So Linda Slauson, she was 19 years old, and on January 26, 1968, she knocked on the wrong door. She was actually going around door to door selling encyclopedias, which was pretty popular at the time.
That was a big deal.
Mm-hmm. And Jerry sees her and sees a young, attractive woman in heels. Going along with her sales pitch, Jerry lures her into the basement, telling her, yeah, I'm interested. My money's down here. Just come on with me. I'm definitely interested in purchasing encyclopedias. And this basement was the one room that Jerry forbid anybody in his family go down into, including his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Under no circumstances whatsoever were they ever to be in the basement.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything that said maybe that he had gotten violent about it, but that's kind of like what came off was there was repercussions if they tried. Now, Jerry's mom and children were right upstairs when Linda was going into the basement.
Okay.
And she's like, yes, I got this. And she's trying, she's a mom too at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So she's saying, I've got this new sale. I'm going to, make some money. She tries to add on to her sales pitch because Jerry at some point mentions, that he has kids too. And she also sells children's books.
Oh.
And she's reaching for her catalog to show him all the children's books that, that she sells. And he suddenly hits her in the back of the head with a wooden plank and knocks her out. Jerry jumps on top of her, strangles her. And remember, Mom is upstairs with the kids. He then, right after knocking her out, goes upstairs to give his mom a $5 bill and tell her to take the kids out for dinner, but to make sure that she knock on the floor when she returns home. Like, that's suspicious. Like, she knows his past.
I was going to say, like, that's... Maybe because she knows his past, she'd be like, he's probably doing some weird, nasty shit.
Maybe, and I think there was comments made that how, like, she was completely thrilled about having a granddaughter.
But yeah, she wanted a daughter.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's what Jerry's first child was a daughter. So, of course, he quickly runs back to the basement, and he proceeds to dress Linda's lifeless body in different styles of undergarments and heels. And then he kind of just treats her like his own, like, human doll. He arranges her in different, like, poses, like provocative poses,
Mm-hmm.
and masturbating at the same time. And this is basically fulfilling every single dark fetish of his.
Yeah, that did. He just hit the mother load, no pun intended.
Yeah. And of course, this isn't enough for him, though. He needs a memento. He needs something to remember this special night. So he grabs a hacksaw, and Jerry saws off Linda's left foot and puts it in the freezer. He comes back later to use his new trophy as a model for the collection of his heels.
Ew.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And at this point, he knows he has to discard of Linda so he doesn't get caught. And he ties her to an engine and dumps her body in the, Willamette River. And of course, again, this was successful. It was his first kill. He's happy. So he gains more confidence and now is eager to go out and seek out his next victim.
Mm.
So that was January. We're going to flash forward to November 26, 1968.
Okay.
Jan Susan Whitney, 23 years old. Her car breaks down on Interstate 5. Jerry's out cruising and happens to drive by and see her struggling with her car. He offers her a ride back to his house where he can grab some tools and come back to fix her car. Now, Jan evidently was known to pick up hitchhikers, so this wasn't alarming to her whatsoever. It was just someone, doing her a favor and giving her a ride.
Right.
She gets in the car with Jerry. He takes her back to his house. They get there, and he instructs her to, wait in the car while I just go grab what I need. And I'll be right back, and we can head back to your car.
Mm-hmm.
After a few moments, he comes back and tells Jan that they'll have to wait till his wife gets home. He's locked out of the house. But this is where it gets weird. Instead of getting back into the driver's seat, he slides into the back seat.
Mm.
And he sparks conversation with Jan. I think at one point they actually started playing like some kind of game or something. Not quite sure, but the conversation obviously didn't get very far. Jerry takes a leather strap and stops Jan mid-sentence as he strangles her from behind.
Yeah.
He drags the body into his basement, where he rapes the corpse, and then he decides to hang Jan's corpse from a pulley in his basement so he can easily dress her up and photograph with her. Now, this one's different where he kind of discarded Linda immediately. He decides to keep Jan's lifeless body around over several days.
Ew.
And continues to use her body for sex.
Ew.
Yeah. Now, before tying up Jan's body to a railroad iron and dumping her in the river, he cuts off her breasts and sets them in resin because he wants to make a paperweight out of them. And it's his new favorite trophy.
Of course.
So he discards Jan into the river along with Linda's now rotted foot. And Jan's car is left abandoned at a rest stop on Interstate 5. Karen Sprinkler, 18 years old, March 27, 1969, is held at gunpoint in a parking lot by a man wearing women's clothing. Of course, this man was Jerry Brudos. He abducts her, brings her back to his basement of horrors, and Karen is basically pleading with him, saying she will do whatever he wants. Dressing up, sex, whatever. Just don't kill me.
Mm.
So, Jerry has her dress up in his newest collection of undergarments and posing while he photographs her. And then he hangs her by the neck from the same pulley Jan was hung by, and he rapes her. Once again, he keeps Karen's body to have sex with over the next several days, and he cuts off her breasts as well, but this time he's using them to make plastic molds.
This one that just gave me
Mm-hmm.
my heart just
You see
is
how like it progresses
fluttering.
a little bit each
Yes.
time. Jerry ties Karen to an engine and throws her into the river. April 22nd, 1969, Jerry actually attempts to abduct 24-year-old Sharon Wood in a parking garage. Now, he's pissed off that he failed. So he goes out the very next day and tries to do it again to 15-year-old Gloria Jean Smith. Once again, he's unsuccessful.
Oh, thank gosh.
Yeah. But he doesn't give up.
Of course not.
So, that same day, April 23rd, 1969, 22-year-old Linda Saley. She's just shopping at her local mall and calling it quits for the day. She goes to her car to leave, where she's ambushed by Jerry. Jerry brings her back to his basement, rapes her, and strangles her, then plays dress up with her corpse. However, this time, Jerry wasn't a fan of Linda's breasts. In his own words, they were too pink.
Too pink.
Mm-hmm. So, this gave him the idea. Jerry, electrician, applies an electrical current to Linda's cold dead body in hopes to make it jump.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He fails, and now bored, and what is left of her ties her to a transmission and dumps her in the river.
This river's gonna have a whole car soon.
Mm-hmm. In May of 1969, a fisherman found the bodies of Linda and Karen in Long Tom River. The police, of course, investigating what happened to these women. They asked students at a nearby university campus about suspicious men that were around in the area, and it led them to Jerry. And one girl in particular had told them that he had phoned her several times to ask her for a date. So, of course, they're looking into Jerry. This starts an investigation because they're alarmed with his previous record.
Right.
So they urgently seek out Jerry's location. And I think at this point they actually had talked to Jerry and he gave them a false location.
Of course.
But this is even more alarming. So now they go on to actually find his location and a search warrant and start going through Jerry's garage. The police found copper wire that was determined to have been cut with the same tool that cut the cords used to tie the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jerry was arrested, and when he was arrested, he made a full confession.
Of course he did, because he doesn't know how to lie.
On June 28, 1969, Jerry pleads guilty to 3 first-degree murder charges.
3.
Mm-hmm. Karen, Jan, and Linda Saley. He was sentenced to 3 consecutive terms of life imprisonment. Though he confessed to Linda Slauson's murder, Jerry wasn't tried nor convicted because he did not make and keep photographs of the body, unlike the others. And her body was never discovered.
So that family doesn't get any justice, even though he said, yeah, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
They just, are you fucking kidding
Yep.
me?
It probably had to do something with money, but...
More than likely. Oh my fucking goodness.
So, Jerry's serving his term and whatnot. And while incarcerated, Jerry wrote to many retail companies requesting shoe catalogs and claiming they were like his substitute for porn and he needed them. But here's the fucked up part.
They sent them.
They sent them.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I'm not kidding you, but yeah, that's what happened.
That's just, oh my gosh. And I would, no.
I frown upon any retail company that sent him them catalogs.
Absolutely.
Now, he goes on to lodge countless appeals, including one in which he alleged that a photograph taken of him with one of his victims' corpses could not prove his guilt because it was not the body of a person he was convicted of killing.
What?
Linda. Because...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But they didn't use that photo because they didn't charge him for that one, I thought.
He was using it as an appeal.
Well, that just doesn't work because they didn't use it to charge you. So
It's he's just back and forth. He can't get his own shit straight.
Oh my gosh.
And he continues like these appeals and applying like for parole and whatnot. And after repeated parole hearings in 1995, the Oregon Parole Board tells Jerry he will never be paroled. And this is quoted. They told him, "You will be in prison for the rest of your life, and there will be no further parole hearings." Because they were just tired of hearing his bullshit at this point.
Yeah.
So, psychiatrist Michael H. Stone, who did study Jerry, identifies Jerry as having a psychopathic personality, noting his callousness and lack of remorse for his crimes.
So that's adolescent adjustments.
Yeah. But Detective Jim Burns, he kind of backs it up. He's the one that investigated the case. And he recalled a conversation with Jerry in which he asked him, "Do you feel some remorse, Jerry? Do you feel sorry for your victims, for the girls who died?" Jerry picks up half a piece of paper off the table, wads it up into a ball, throws it to the floor, where he replies, "I care about those girls as much as I care about that piece of wadded up paper."
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's that honesty.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I can commend you on, man.
And on March 28th, 2006, incarcerated for 37 years, which evidently was the longest incarceration in Oregon, Jerry dies at 5:10 a.m. from liver cancer.
Oh.
May he rot in hell.
Boo-hoo.
Yep. That's our story of Jerry Brudos.
Damn. I'm surprised that he didn't go after his mother. And in those stories like that, they normally do.
But he didn't have like any sexual ties
That must
with
have
his
been...
mother. That was the difference. Like with Ed Gein, he had sexual ties.
Yeah, but he didn't kill his mom.
No, he adored her and worshipped her instead.
Right.
But he did kill the women that reminded him of his mom because they weren't worthy enough.
Yes. But that's why I guess because these women were beautiful women. So them being attractive and in the clothing he desired.
And heels.
Yeah. Is probably what led that to all that. But I'm just surprised at the same time that that didn't trigger the anger of murder. I guess. I don't know.
I can see where you're coming from.
Like I get that the heels and the nudity and the undergarments and all that stuff is the fetish. You needed all that to be aroused. But I'm surprised like it wasn't the, revenge of killing his mother is what brought them together.
Well, the revenge of killing his mother though was never sexual for him.
Right. I know.
And that was what drove all of his killings was his fetish and his fantasies.
But that one girl said she'd do it all for him. Just don't kill me. I guess he needed the death. I don't
Well,
know.
at this point, it's involved.
Now it is.
It's not just the heels. It's now the violence. And remember, when he was younger, he had that imagination where he was creating up these scenarios in his head.
The girls and the...
Yeah, and
I guess that's why, he didn't keep them down there, though. He could have done that. He could have kept them in that basement.
But he would have gotten caught. He wasn't good at what he did.
Nah, he wasn't.
That was the problem. Like, he knew he wasn't good at what he did. He knew he was going to get caught.
He had to be quick about it.
Mm-hmm.
Gross. Pig. Nasty.
But thank you, Tina. Good story.
That was a good one. That one was a good one.
Yep.
I've heard of it, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't know. So I'm really glad we got to go over this to learn a little bit more about him. He triggered my brain once hearing the deaths of the women. I'm like, oh, that guy. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard about, I think I read, it was one of Anne Rule's books. I can't remember what it was called, but I read it back in the day, and that's where I got a lot of this from, actually. I purchased the audiobook too as well.
Cool.
But I remember it back in the day. I just didn't connect the dots when she had suggested it.
Yeah.
It's like not one, for some reason, it's such a like, wow, what the fuck case, but it didn't trigger any memories to me till I started like
It was the
researching.
murders.
Yeah.
It was the murders that triggered for me. Like, his name didn't trigger anything in my brain. I the story of the disheveledness when he tried to, when he's taking pictures of the
The
girl,
first victim.
the first girl, yeah, that kind of rung a little bell in my head, but I'm like, this is also one of those just, it's really sick to say, like, you've heard that one before. Like, somebody's done that before where they're like, oh, it wasn't me, was it? Oh,
I don't know if y'all have Peacock Toasties, but if you do, there's a show in there, I believe it's like America's Most Evil or whatever, something like that. And there's an episode on him that was done pretty well. I highly recommend that one.
Isn't Tommy Lynn on that one too?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that is how Melissa saw him, I think.
Yes.
Was on that episode. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, fuck. Thanks. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
And thanks again, Tina. That was great. We love getting the story requests, guys. Keep them coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some that we didn't even think of. Because you naturally want to think of the big ones right away. So to know that others are thinking of outside the box is really great.
Well, yeah, and the big ones they're overdone
Way.
so many times. And it's like, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. I want to learn about new ones. I don't want to hear more intake on people's version on Ed Gein. I know I did Ed Gein, but that's different. That's personal. It has a special place in my heart. I know that's sick to say, but go back and listen to it. You'll like it.
But is it really sick? I mean, I haven't shared my favorite. And he's done a lot. He has done a lot. So, maybe someday down the road I might share about him. Maybe.
You should. Maybe. We'll see.
To give a little insight from my perspective. Because I think with a lot of these popular killers, it's more perspective of each person at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want to give them a sneak peek of your next case, or not? We're going to keep it a surprise.
Well, we talk a little bit about a lot of crime, but we're going to dabble also in a little bit of paranormals.
Ooh, spooky.
So a crime that led into a paranormal activities. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited for this one.
This is going to be a fun one. I'm intrigued by it because this is also a story everyone knows, but no one knows at the same time.
Yeah, they just know what
the end results.
Yeah. I don't want to give anything away, so
keeping it spooky for you. All right, guys, thanks so much. Thanks.
Definitely tune in for our next episode. Make sure you follow, like, share, hit Missy's bell.
Yeah, hit the bell. Subscribe. We don't have any subscriptions.
Maybe we will be doing a live soon too. So by the time you guys hear this, it'll be that
Tuesday.
That following Tuesday. So you're getting this on Sunday.
16th?
Yes, I think correct. Anyways,
yep.
That following Tuesday.
Come find us on the TikToks. We'll be there live. You can come ask your questions and tell us some things about you guys, and we could swap stories and all the fun things. So come find us on TikTok live. And
we'll see you then.
Bye.